I want to remind everyone that this webinar is being transmitted live on our Facebook account, and also I just hit the record button and it's being recorded on the recording is being recorded. That way we can show it on later today as a recap for everyone. So I want to say thank you everybody for joining us this wonderful afternoon. As mentioned, the topic for today is going to be regarding the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan. We have Israel joining us, who will be sharing a little bit more on the walkthrough application process, and of course, we will be hosting a Q&A session at the end. So I want to do a small little information here. So if you are going to be submitting your information or your question through the chat box, here is a quick tutorial on how to do so. So I want to remind you that this is only for users accessing through the Zoom platform. If you're joining through Facebook Live, then just leave us a comment and we will make sure to address your question at the end. And I also want to remind you that if you are going to be submitting your questions, to only submit questions pertaining to the presentation. Do not submit business email addresses, business phone numbers, or other personal data like social security numbers. So I want to reiterate that section there. And I'm also glad to share that we have live interpretation at the moment. So si usted se está conectando en la plataforma de Zoom, quiero dejarles saber que tenemos la opción de unir la conversación y se está transmitiendo con una interpretación en español. Así que simplemente en su dispositivo móvil seleccione la opción de More y después va a seleccionar donde dice Language Interpretation y asegúrese de seleccionar el lenguaje en la que quiere escuchar la presentación de hoy. Así que muchísimas gracias. And language interpretation is available in Spanish for those that would prefer Spanish language. And this is being provided by the team at Linguistica team. So thank you. And before proceeding, I want to say thank you to the following organizations that have allowed our team here at the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation to bring you webinars on a weekly basis in English and in Spanish during these difficult times. And so I would like to say thank you to Bank of America, thank you to Comcast, Bank of the West, Chevron, FHL Bank San Francisco, Donagy Sales, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase & Co., Tri-Counties Bank, and Union Bank. Thank you for the support to helping out our small business community. And I would like to share with you, this is the agenda for today. My name is Sandra Vidrio, and we will be joined by Israel Lara Jr., who is the Outreach and Marketing Specialist at the Fresno District Office for the U.S. Small Business Administration. And at the end of the presentation, we will be having a Q&A session. So once again, if you're going to be submitting your questions through the chat box, only submit questions pertaining to the presentation. And really quickly, I just want to share with you a little bit about the foundation. If you are not aware of our organization here in the Central Valley, to support and encourage small business owners with connecting them to resources available, whether you're in the startup phase or in the existing phase of your business. And so we have our core programs include our virtual technical assistance program. We have everything from helping you with your permits and licensing, expanding your business, imports and exports. We have that available here at the foundation. We have our webinars, as mentioned. We're going to be introducing a new series for 2021. So if there's a topic that you would like to hear, reach out to our organization, call us at 559-222-8705, and we will be happy to make some arrangements to make that topic possible. And of course, we have our microloan program. So if you're needing to connect to access to capital, there's a lot of resources right now regarding relief funds. So please reach out to our organization. And of course, you can follow us on our different social media platforms to view any other content regarding previous webinars. So with that being said, I want to say welcome, Israel. I'm going to make you host, and I will be stop sharing my screen here. That way you can share your screen. So Israel, welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's presentation.
Let me get my screen going here. So can you see my screen, Sandra?
Yes, perfect. Okay, everything looks good.
Okay, let me just get this going here. There we go. Good afternoon. My name is Israel Lara. I am the Outreach and Marketing Specialist for the SBA Fresno District Office. The Fresno District Office is responsible for the delivery of SBA many programs and services the counties of Alpine, Fresno, Inyo, Kern, Kings, Madera, Mariposa, Merced, Mono, Monterey, San Benito, San Luis Obispo, Stanislaus, Tulare, and Tuolumne in Central California. This presentation is for internal use only. Please contact the SBA Fresno District Office for external use at sba@fresnosba.gov, care of George Flores. This webinar presentation is used only as an example, does not guarantee or suggest an approval of a loan or reconsideration. Our physical address is 801 Arch Street, Suite 201, Fresno, California, 93721. Currently, our SBA team is working remotely to schedule a Teams meeting. Please call our office at the number at 559-487-5791, and one of our SBA specialists will be assigned to you and your business. You may also send an SBA Fresno District Office an email for technical assistance at fresno@sba.gov. Please include in the email your first and last name, business name, phone number, the type of business, technical assistance you're requesting. For Fresno District Office 8A program, please send an email to 8afresno@sba.gov to certify your business for contracts. Please visit our website for additional information at www.sba.gov/offices/district/ca./Fresno. The SBA Fresno District Office Director, Don Golick, and Deputy Director, George Flores, would like to extend an invitation to host an SBA speaker and event in your community. It is an honor to work on behalf of this region's small businesses. Please feel free to contact SBA at fresno@sba.gov if you need assistance or want to host an SBA speaker or an event in your community. The SBA team and I are here to serve and support you. Please let us know how the SBA can help you and your business get going, keep growing, create jobs, and succeed. The SBA Region 9 Director, Don Golick, would like to thank you for participating in today's webinar. In these unprecedented times, we understand the challenges that small businesses are facing. The SBA is making every effort to support small businesses, which are the American economy's backbone. The SBA is making every effort to support your small business. At this time, I will be going over the economic injury disaster loan application process. For those who are attempting to apply during this training, you can go to www.sba.gov/page/coronavirus COVID-19 to retrieve the page that is on your screen, and then click on the tab that says apply here. Our nation's small businesses are facing an unprecedented economic disruption due to coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak. On Friday, March 27, 2020, the President signed into law the CARES Act, which contains emergency relief resources for American workers and small businesses. We have until December 31st to apply for the economic injury disaster loan, but we are encouraging applicants to submit as soon as possible so that they do not lose on the opportunity to apply for the economic injury disaster loan. Before you start the economic injury disaster loan application, you will need the following documents in order to complete the application. You will need your driver license, your tax return for the business 2019 or 2018, or whichever has been completed and sent to the IRS, a fictitious business name of the business as shown on your tax return, articles of incorporation. Sorry about that. Articles of incorporation for the business, Social Security number, the federal ID for the business, and then your checking account information for your business as well. You will definitely need a business checking account. If you do not have one at the time, but do have a business, please take this time to apply. Go to your local bank and open up an account for your business. Most of the information you will need to complete the application should be found on your business tax return, Schedule C. Once you have all the information, you may begin the application and then click the Apply Here tab. So once you go and click on the tab to start applying, this is the first question that you will see on your application. The SBA is collecting the requested information in order to make a loan under SBA's Economic and Disaster Loan Program to qualify entities listed in the application that are impacted by the coronavirus COVID-19. So if you see the first question, you choose the one that's best that fits your organization or business. So for our example, and just to remind you, this is just an example, you will choose the one that best fits your organization or business. If you are an applicant and it's a business with not more than 500 employees, you will click the first circle. If you're an applicant is an agriculture enterprise with not more than 500 employees, you would click the second circle. Now, if you're an applicant is an individual who operates under a sole proprietor with or without employees or independent contractors, which most businesses are going to probably end up in either the first or third. And those who are independent contractors are either Uber drivers or those who rent chairs are for a salon. You would be an independent contractor and you would click on number 3. And there are several other choices. I'm not going to go through all the choices because we have a long application to go through, but just make sure you read all of the choices, choose the best one that you have. Now, if you need technical assistance and you don't know exactly which circle to choose, again, just email fresno@sba.gov and one of our representatives will be assigned to you to assist you in completing your application. So in this section, review and check all the following. In order to move the application forward, you must be able to click all the boxes on this page. And basically, the applicant must review and check all the following. If the applicant is unable to check all the following, the applicant is not eligible for the economic injury disaster loan. And so you want to make sure that the applicant is not engaged in any illegal activity. The no principal of the applicant with a 50% or greater ownership interest is more than 60 days delinquent on support obligation for child support, and the list goes on. So just make sure you read all of them, click on the box. Once you click on the box, you will see there's a continue tab. Click on the continue tab, and then we'll go on to the next section of the application so that you can see what those questions are going to be. So the first section of the application is going to ask you for the business information. Please note that the information entered here is fiction. Do not use the information to complete your application. At this point of the application, you will need your tax return to complete the business information. So we're on step 1 of 3, and the step that we're currently in is for business information. So the first question, you're going to put the business legal name. So in our example, our business legal name is John Smith, and we retrieved that information from the tax return on the Schedule C. The second question is trade name. So John Smith owns a tire shop, and he has a fictitious business name that he's filed with the Fresno County. And so his fictitious business name, which is his trade name, is Smith Tire Shop. Now, he also has employees, so he has a federal ID number, which is an EIN. So he's entered his EIN number, which started with a 77. Again, these are not real numbers, so do not use this federal ID number to complete your application. You can get your EIN number from your federal tax return. If you're a sole proprietor that rents a chair, or you're either Uber driver, then you would enter your social security number at this point. Then you will go down to organization type. Here you're going to choose whether you're a corporation, an S Corp, a nonprofit, a partnership. So choose the one that best describes your business or your organization. For example, we have chosen sole proprietorship. The next question is the applicant a nonprofit organization? Since John Smith is a tire shop, we are not a nonprofit, so you would click on no. Now, if you are a nonprofit, you are going to click on yes. Those are the ones filed under a 501c3, and you must have filed a return 990. Those for our nonprofits that need additional technical assistance, again, you can reach us at fresno@sba.gov for additional assistance on how to complete your application. So the next question on the application is the county. So if you're in Fresno County, you would enter Fresno County. For our example, we entered Fresno, but if you're in Tulare, Stanislaus, Mono, you would enter the correct county that you are in and then fill that section. I do want to remind applicants that when you do fill this out, as you can see on our example, all of our entries are in green. If these become red, that means you either entered an extra space in the front or the back. And so you want to make sure that you correct that until this box is turned green. And if it's still in red, make sure that you delete it and then enter it correctly without any spaces in the front or back of the entry. So the next question is zip code. So you would enter your business zip code, not your personal, not your home. You would enter the business zip code where you perform your services and where your business is located. You would also include the business phone number for your business. If it's your cell phone, most people now don't have an actual phone in the business, they use their cell. So then you would enter your cell phone number at this point. If you have a fax number, alternative number, please include those. For our purposes, I put my email address. So for those who have questions after the presentation, the email address that I entered into our sample application is israel.lara.jr@sba.gov. That is my real email address. And so you would put your business address. If you do not have a business email address, I suggest you go to Google, create an email address, make sure you jot down and your username and the password, because that's the only way SBA is going to communicate with you. They will not call you. They will not send you a physical letter. They will only communicate with you through a business email. So it's important that you keep your username and password and remember the email that you submitted to SBA, because that's the only way they're going to communicate, and you want to make sure you monitor that email so that when you do get an email from SBA, follow the instructions and how to continue your application. You also want to include the date business was established. In our example, we put January 1st of the 1st of 1975, and then the current ownership, since this John Smith has owned the business since its original start date, it would be the same. Now, if you purchase the business from a previous owner, and let's say the business started in 1975, but you purchased it in 2000, then you would put January 1st, year 2000 for current ownership to make that it's accurate, and that should be on your tax return as well. The business activity, for this example, we chose eating and drinking places. It was the simplest. And so the detailed business activity was restaurant, food, and carryout. And so there's going to be a drop box that you're going to be able to choose. So choose the correct business activity. Once you choose the best business activity, then you're going to go to the next drop box, which says detailed business activity. But again, for our purposes, these are just examples. Please do not use our examples to complete your application. Number of employees as of January 31st, 2020. So you want to make sure you put the amount. Now, if you're a barber and it's only you, you just put one. If it's you and another individual that helps you, like let's say it's you and your wife, then you would put two. If you have 5 employees and include yourself and your wife, that means you would have 5 employees, your wife and yourself, that would be 7. And so you want to make sure you include all the number of employees that help sustain, maintain your business. And so you want to make sure you follow all the instructions, fill out all the information that's required, especially the ones in asterisk. Those are required in order for you to move the application forward. So now we're going to go to step 2 of 3. Here, it's going to be very simple. Is your business owned by a business entity? For most of you, it's going to say no. In order to move the application, you got to either click yes or no. And so at this point, for our example, and for most of the majority of the business owners, they're not owned by a separate entity. You are the sole owner. So you would click no, and then you would continue. On this section, it's going to ask for individual owners. And so this is no longer about the business. This is about your information or the person who's going to be responsible for the loan. If you're a nonprofit, it would be either your CEO, your president, or your financial person that's in charge of your nonprofit. And so for our example, our first name is John, and then our last name is Smith. And so you want to make sure you put in the correct information. Now, if you're a corporation or a nonprofit, you want to make sure that all of the partners or board of directors have met and have agreed upon you applying on their behalf or on behalf of the organization or the corporation to apply for the economic injury disaster loan. So again, we're going to continue with the personal information. So the mobile phone, now if the business mobile phone that you used prior for the business information is the same for your personal, just enter it again at the mobile phone that you use. For example, we're using the 555-222. So then you would put your mobile phone there. And then the title or office that you are using to identify yourself as the individual who is applying on behalf of the business. So if you're either the owner, there's going to be a drop box that will be part of the title office. Click based on the drop box if you're the CEO, the chief financial officer, the president of the company. For our example, the drop box, we chose owner. Make sure that when it says ownership percent, this has to be 100%. If you're an owner and you have 20% ownership, this has to still equal 100%. If you put 20 or 50%, it's going to create an error, and then it's going to automatically decline your loan. And so the owner percentage has to be 100%. Again, I use my email address. So you would put your personal email address here. I put my SBA address, Israel.lara.jr@sba.gov, but you would put your personal email address. And again, if you don't have a personal email address, you can create one with Google and just make sure you save your user password so that when you do get an email from SBA, you'll be able to log in and make sure that you write down the email application or service that you are creating the email with. So if it's Google or Outlook, you want to make sure you remember which organization or email that you went to or provider you're using to receive your emails. You want to put your birth date. So for our example, we put January 1st, 2000, and then the place of birth, California. Now, for those who are U.S. citizens, we have several people that have made mistakes and they put no, or they forgot to check, or they just, for some reason, put no. If you're a U.S. citizen, this box needs to be clicked on, so you click on yes. Now, if you have a legal resident card, you would click yes, you are a U.S. citizen under, for I think most of you would see it as a green card, so you would click yes on that U.S. citizen. So this is going to be part of the application for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, and this is only for the personal information for the application. So we're continuing again with the information for personal information for the application. So at this point, they're going to want your residential street address, not a PO box. Please make sure you use your physical address of your home, not the business. You also want to put the city. For our example, we put Fresno. The state is California, and then the zip code. So those are very important. So when you put the physical address for the business, and if it's the same as the residential, you will definitely get an email from an SBA representative, because they're going to alert or create an alert because the address you use for the business and the residential are the same. And so I would suggest those who are barbers or renting a salon chair to use the physical address where you rent your chair and put that as the business address and the name of the business that you're conducting your services at. So if it's John Smith Barbershop, then you would put John Smith Barbershop, and then you would put the John Smith Barbershop address for where you're conducting business, and then you would use your residential address for the personal information. But if you have some questions or need additional assistance, again, you can always email us at fresno@sba.gov, and then we can walk you through to make sure you put the right information in the personal versus the business address. So we're on step 3 of 3. So this is our final page. So this part of the application, in order for you to move forward, you are going to have to click no on all the additional information. If for some reason you're not able to click no, you will probably get an alert, or SBA will have a representative send you an email, ask you for clarification on why you entered yes on some of these. So just make sure you follow the instructions that SBA is providing you in the email, just in case you were not able to click no on all of these on this section. And basically it's just asking you, in the past year, has a business or a listed owner been convicted of a felony committed during or in connection with a riot or civil disorder, or any other declared disaster, or even engaged in the production or distribution of any product. Now, if you were convicted of a crime and it's been more than 5 or 10 years, then you would click no. You want to check with your local court to make sure that those records are already been expunged. But if you're not clear, you can always call the fresnosba.gov again, and we can provide you additional guidance. But make sure that all these are no, and so that you can move forward with the application. So on this section of the application, now if you hired a CPA or an accountant to help you fill out the application, then his or her information will be entered here. But for our purposes and our example, since we're not hiring a CPA or an accountant, we're going to leave this section of the application blank. We're not going to give anybody permission to speak on our behalf. And so we're not going to click yes or no. So, but if you do hire somebody or an accountant does help you, then his individual name, company name, phone number, street address, and the amount of money he's charging you to fill out the application and complete the application will be entered. And then you would give SBA permission to speak with that individual to help you complete your application process. But for our purposes, we're not engaging in anybody to help us. We are filling out the application ourselves as a business owner. And so we're leaving this section blank. Again, so where do you want the funds to be sent? So this is one of the most important sections of the application. And many people make the mistake by putting in the wrong bank name, account number, and routing number. And then sometimes they enter the routing number in the bank information number backwards. So you want to make sure that you call your bank or you double check with your banking information, which is your either a check account. Make sure you put Bank of America, for example, where you're going to use Bank of America. The account number is not real, so we just put a bunch of sevens. And then the routing number for Bank of America is actually real. That is the California Fresno area routing number for Bank of America. So you want to make sure you follow the instructions. You read the information before you move forward on your application. And so you are also self-certifying that all the information on the application is truthful. And so one of the thing you want to read all the information. So on behalf of the individuals owners identified in this application for the business applying for the loan, we authorize our insurance company, bank, financial institution, or other creditors to release SBA all records, information necessary to process this application and for the SBA to obtain credit information about the individual completing this application. So once you submit your application, SBA will conduct a FICO score search to make sure you qualify for your credit. And so if you need technical assistance or need more questions on credit reporting, you can contact the Fresno at sba.gov. Please do not put any information on the chat box or ask questions about your personal information or your credit score. All that is for privacy or security purposes. We want to make sure that you don't provide any EIN numbers, social security numbers in the chat box. If you have any personal information or you have personal questions related to your business, please contact Sandra or myself, and then we can provide you technical assistance on a one-to-one. But we want to make sure that you provide the correct information. Like I stated, the bank name, if it's Chase, you would put Chase, the account number, and the routing number. And for some reason, if you don't know the information, the best remedy is to call your bank manager or a bank teller that you are familiar with your bank and get the correct information. And then also, please let them know, whichever bank you're going to have the money wired, contact them, let them know that you're expecting to have some money wired into your account so that they also know, or they can also make sure that the money being wired goes into your account correctly. And if there's any other questions, they can resolve those before the money is being transferred. We've had some cases where the funds were transferred and they went into the wrong account, or the bank sent it back because they weren't aware that those funds were coming on behalf of their client. So you want to make sure that you're full disclosure with your bank that you're choosing to have the money wired. So this is some additional, oops, sorry, we skipped one. So this is some more information on being self-certified. It just continues that you understand what SBA is expecting of you. It talks about a little bit about your self-certification. In order to move the application forward, you got to make sure you click on this box, which states, I hereby certify under penalty and perjury under the laws of the United States that the above is true and correct. And so that's why it's important that you use your tax return, the one you filed, whether it's 2019, 2018, or 2017. Grab the information from that tax return, enter it into the application. All the information that you're going to need to complete the application should be on your fictitious business name, your corporation documents, or your tax return for the corporation, or your 990s for the nonprofit, or your Schedule C 1040 if you're a sole proprietor individual business. So once you click on self-certified, you will click next, and then that will take you to the final steps in completing your application. So before we submit the application, the system does provide one more opportunity to make sure that all the information that you provided is correct. And so here on the edit page, which is going to be the summary business information, you're going to go over, there's a box that says edit. You'll be able to click this. If for some reason you misspelled John Smith, you can click on edit. It's going to take you back to the business information. Once you correct the information on the application for the business, just drop all the way down and then just continue on the tab, and then keep pressing the tab until you continue till you get back to this original page. And so all our information that we put for the gross revenue, the cost of goods, all that information is on the edit page. And I think my system left out this page. So I'm going to go back and look for that particular page because that is an important part of the application. So on this page, I think we went over this, but I want to go back and make sure that I speak a little bit more in detail on the gross revenue for the 12 months. So on your tax return, it's going to tell you what your gross revenue is. So you're going to enter, for example, we entered 750,000. Now, the tax return is going to tell you how much your gross revenue is. Again, if you're a nonprofit, if you're not a nonprofit, you're going to click no. If you're not a franchise, you're going to click no. Now, if you are a franchise, please go to the franchise SBA website to see if there's any notes on your ability to apply. Some franchises are not able to apply for the economic and disaster loan. So you will need to make sure that your company, your franchise is on the list to apply. Now, when you submit the gross revenue, and if you have no cost of goods, make sure you put zero. Do not enter, don't leave this item blank. So just put a zero if you don't have no cost of goods sold for the 12 months, and then continue with the application. And then again, you're going to put the primary business address, the city, and the state. The gross revenue is how they're going to determine your loan amount. For those, I think the maximum amount you can get is 150,000. And so what they're going to do is they're going to divide your gross revenue divided by 12, and then multiply it by 6, and that's going to give you your loan amount. But the maximum is 150. So once you meet the maximum amount and your gross revenue exceeds that, the total amount SBA will award you is 150. So just keep in mind, if your gross revenue is much higher, that does not mean that you qualify for more money. It just means that you met the threshold at 150, and that's the maximum loan amount that they were going to be offering you. So again, it's going to be the gross revenue. So if you ended up with $90,000 gross revenue, then you would enter $90,000. If you have no cost of goods, just enter zero. Sorry about that. And let me go back to our So again, we were back to our original page. So you want to make sure on the edit page, you double check all the information that was entered. This is going to give you another opportunity to make corrections. So again, this is all the information that we entered into the application. So take your time, read it. Anything that needs to be corrected, like I said, just click on the edit tab, and it's going to take you back so that you can correct that information. Again, now we're going to the business ownership information. Again, just click on the edit tab. Anything that's a mistake or needs to be updated, this will give you an opportunity to make those changes as well. Again, this is additional information. So in order to submit the application, you're going to make sure that you click no on all of the questions that asked on the if you were convicted or for a felony, and then make sure all the information is correct. And then finally, in order to submit, you're going to have to click I'm not a robot. Once you click I'm not a robot, and then it's going to look like this. There's going to be a green check mark, and then you're going to be able to click on submit. So this will give you the application, and it will submit it to SBA. Once you submit to SBA, you're going to want to make sure that you take a photo or print the application number. You're going to be provided an application number that starts with a 3. It's important that you follow the instructions. If you have an iPhone and you cannot, for some reason, print the information, take a photo of the application for your records, because that's the only way SBA is going to be able to identify you, is through your application number. So you want to make sure you write those down. So you're going to make sure you write down your username for the email, your password, and your application number. Those are going to be very important in order for you to move your application forward. So we want to make sure that you have all that information. And then Sandra's also going to be providing you some additional SBA Fresno resource guides. There are in English and in Spanish, and so these will be entered in the chat box so that if you need additional assistance, both these guides have additional information that can help you with your economic injury disaster loan. We also work with partners. These are resource partners that you can also reach out for free technical assistance. We have the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation. Their website is www.fresnoahf.org. We also have SCORE that also provides free technical assistance. Their website is www.score.org. And then Central California Small Business Development Center Regional Network, you can go to www.centralcaliforniasmallbusinessdevelopmentcenter.com for additional resources if you need more technical assistance for your business. And they also provide an array of other resources. Sandra spoke a little bit about some of the services they provide. And so you can email them or contact them through their website for an appointment as well. This is our contact information that I provided earlier. Contact SBA Fresno District Office, 801 Arch Street. Like I said, right now we're closed, so we're only doing meetings through either Teams or Skype. And so our phone number to schedule a meeting or to speak to me directly, you can call 559-487-5791.
Yes, thank you so much, Israel, for the walkthrough on the application on how to apply for the economic injury disaster loan. And as you mentioned, we want to remind small business owners that have not applied that this application is still open and that we encourage, or that it is encouraged to submit your application before December 24, as that, that way you can guarantee that it has been submitted and it will be reviewed by a loan officer. And with that, we want to go ahead and open the chat box. So once again, please send us your questions using the chat box feature. And if you're on Facebook Live, then just simply ask the question, ask the comment, and please just make sure to input information pertaining to the presentation, not personal information like phone numbers, emails, or other personal details. And with that, I have a few questions here that have already been received, Israel. The first one is, what happens if you already apply for a PPP loan and you have requested forgiveness on this loan? Can that person still apply for the EIDL?
Yes, if you apply for the PPP loan, you can also apply for the economic injury disaster loan. So I would recommend that you apply as quickly as possible. For the economic injury disaster loan, there is no penalty to take both loans, especially right now if you're in the areas that the governor has closed again. This would be a great opportunity for you to apply for the economic injury disaster loan. Just keep in mind that the funds for the economic injury disaster loan can only be used for business purposes. And so if you're a barbershop that makes $3,000 a month and you receive $36,000 under the economic injury disaster loan, you can pay yourself out of the business account. So that's why you need to have a business account, $3,000 a month into your personal account, and have your accountant track those checks to make sure that the business is paying you because you lost revenue. And if you need to pay rent, then you will use this money to pay for your rent for your business or mortgage. So just keep in mind that the money can only be used for business purposes.
Okay, and how is the loan amount determined for the EIDL loan?
So like I mentioned in the example, so if you're $100,000 income, they're going to divide that by 12. And then they're going to take that number and divide it by 6. And that's going to give you your net loan amount of $50,000. I think it's $49,900. And so you take the total revenue divided by 12, multiply that by 6, and that's going to give you the total amount of your loan. The maximum, once you hit the threshold of a certain amount, the maximum loan amount is $150. The loan payment, it's 30 years, and I think the highest payment, if you qualify for the 150, is $730 a month for the next 30 years, and the interest rate is 3.75. So I do encourage those who have not applied to take advantage of the opportunity and apply, and make sure you follow the instructions that we provided to you today and fill out all the information using your tax return so that you can maximize your loan amount.
Thank you. And one of the question here is, do you need to submit proof on what the EIDL money was spent on?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, this is a business loan. So for if your bank red flags you for any purposes, they're the ones that are going to report you to SBA, and then an audit will be triggered, and then we will go back and review your expenditures. But just keep in mind, like I stated in the example, if you're a barber shop and you were making $3,000 a month and you're no longer taking in that revenue, you can write a check to yourself in the amount of $30,000 out of the business account into your personal, and just make a journal entry for your accountant that you paid yourself $3,000, and then the $3,000 becomes taxable as your personal income. But that's why it's important you have your business account separate from your personal, and don't commingle those funds. And just keep in mind that the money that for the economic disaster loan is only for business. So mortgages, if you have PG&E, if you have a rent for the building, equipment payments that you are falling behind, you can definitely use it to make those payments.
And part of this question was also, can this loan be used to pay payroll taxes?
Now, federal funds cannot be used to pay federal taxes, but you can use the funds to pay the franchise tax or Board of Equalization tax, but not federal tax.
Okay, and then there's a question here. It's been asked by two different participants, and the question is, if I applied before, can I apply again? So I know you clarified that if they have applied for the PPP, they can apply also for the EIDL, but if they have already applied and received the funds, can they apply again?
Now, if you've already applied for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and you've already qualified and accepted the funds, you're only allowed to apply once. Now, if you need additional funding, then in your terms of agreement and in your portal that you created through SBA, there should be a phone number for you to get a reconsideration, to reactivate, to request an increase on your amount. But if you've already received the maximum 150, then that's the maximum that you'll receive. But if you received anything lower than 150, you can definitely submit a reconsideration for an increase on your loan, and then they're going to be going through a process which we call the reconsideration, and they will be asking you for your tax returns, proof of business, your fictitious business name, corporate documents, your tax returns to prove that you're able to make the payment of $700. So what happens, it becomes a real loan process, and so you'll be assigned a loan officer, and then you'll have to provide additional information based on the amount you're requesting and your business type.
Okay, and one of the follow-up to this question is, if there's any, I guess, decision on, or how can maybe business owners keep informed on for the upcoming year if they're able to apply for a second round of this funding?
Congress hasn't approved a second round or new funding at this point, but I don't work for the state of California, and I know the state of California, the governor just signed an executive order that they have a similar program through their CARES Act, and then they're also developing a program where they're hoping to give all small businesses that qualify $25,000 for free. And so you might want to contact Sandra or one of the other resources, Small Business Development Center or SCORE, for additional information about state programs. I do get a lot of calls regarding the federal programs, but I also encourage you, if you're in the state of California, to go to your local state and go through their website and search for any programs that they're offering that are similar to ours. And then I will also go to your local county or city. I know small cities, I think San Joaquin, Mendota, City of Fresno, Clovis, they have their own programs and their own funding, and they're also giving out grants for those who qualify and that are small businesses. So I would definitely reach out to all your partners, all your cities and counties, and your local state if they have additional funding, especially if they're grants or free funding.
Okay, thank you. And I do want to add on to that, in regards to the state of California having some grant program available. It is going to be, administered through certain CDFIs within the state of California. So for here in the Central Valley, reach out to our team at 559-222-8705, and we will be happy to connect you with the right resources regarding those small business grants. And then here are some additional questions that have been submitted. Just to reiterate, I know you already covered that if you already applied once, then you are not able to apply again, only because there still hasn't been a decision made by Congress if there's going to be a second round opportunity for either the PPP or the EIDL loan. So I wanted to clarify that question. And then once again, we have here the question about payroll taxes if someone is self-employed, and that still pertains, correct? Whether you have employees or if you're self-employed, you should not be using these funds towards paying payroll taxes. And then a question here, I think it's more, if someone receives a state grant, does that affect the EIDL loan? So I'm assuming the question is, for example, there's a lot of, relief funds available in the forms of grants, but does that, by receiving a grant, whether it was a private grant or a state-funded grant, does that affect getting accepted for the EIDL loan?
No, I would definitely encourage, and I'll repeat myself again, apply for everything you qualify. Let the other person decline or direct you in how to apply or receive the funds. If you qualify or if you know of a grant or a loan and you need the funds, I encourage you to apply for all the funds that you are able to qualify for.
Okay, thank you. And I know you mentioned during the Q&A session regarding reconsideration. So what does that look like for a business that was perhaps denied an EIDL loan? Of course, there's different reasons for why the loan might have not been approved. But what are some of the common practices or what's recommended for these individuals that are considering a reconsideration letter?
Now, if you applied and you got a decline letter, you definitely want to submit for reconsideration. In your decline letter that you received through an email, it's going to have the instructions in how to submit for reconsideration. For those who need one-to-one technical assistance, SBA, SCORE, Sandra, and the Small Business Development Center can guide you in how to submit for reconsideration. It's very important that you submit the correct information for reconsideration. The process can be lengthy and technical if the information provided the first time is not correct. So I would definitely reach out to one of the partners to help you and guide you in applying for reconsideration. And then if you need a sample email to submit for reconsideration, contact Sandra and myself, and we'll be more than happy to send you a sample email requesting reconsideration so that we can reactivate your loan for reconsideration if it was declined. Now, you want to make sure that you read all your emails from SBA. And now, for some reason you don't feel comfortable responding to an email, please call the 1-800 number that was provided to you in your decline letter or on your portal when you receive the email to get additional guidance and to confirm that the email did come from SBA. It should be on your notes portal. When you apply for the economic disaster loan, a file was made for you under your name and under the business, and all the information, all the notes that have been pertaining to your loan are on that file. So if this particular email was sent to you, this email is going to be on that file, and they can verify that that email comes from an SBA representative. So definitely submit for reconsideration. Follow the instructions that are provided to you in your decline letter. Remember, your decline letter is only for your eyes. Only you know what pertains in that economic injury disaster decline letter. Nobody else knows what's in your letter except you. So it's important that if you reach out to a second party or third party and they're giving you technical assistance without seeing your decline letter, most likely they're giving you misinformation. So it's important that you contact one of the partners send them a copy of the decline letter. If you send me a copy of the decline letter, I will read it, make sure that all the information that's on the decline letter is submitted for reconsideration. And again, you always want to make sure your emails are from a computer with your business name, your first and last name, your phone number, and why you're sending an email to the disaster assistance for reconsideration. And I can, again, like I stated earlier, we can send you in a sample email, but definitely submit for reconsideration if you think that you do qualify for the economic injury disaster loan.
Perfect. And to end the Q&A session with this question is there a deadline for the reconsideration letter to be submitted?
So the deadline for the application process, I know ends December 31st, but I'm encouraging everybody to submit their application by December 24th. Once you receive a decline letter, in your decline letter, it states how many months or weeks you have to submit for reconsideration. So I would definitely follow the instructions. If you already have received a decline letter and not have submitted your reconsideration, please follow the instructions. Sometimes it could be up to 6 months that you have to submit for reconsideration. So if you applied in March and the 6 months have already lapsed, I would still submit for reconsideration and let the SBA representative determine the qualifications, if you can still qualify even if though the 6 months have lapsed. So definitely submit for reconsideration regardless if your time has lapsed, and let them determine whether you qualify or not.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Israel, for the presentation for today. And I want to share that I have shared once again the contact information for the Fresno SBA office on the chat box, and also regarding the small business relief grants for this in the state of California. The program is still it's under development. It still hasn't been released, but I did share a link where you can sign up to receive up-to-date updates on those relief funds. So please check into the chat box. And with that, that will conclude our webinar for today. So I want to say thank you once again to everyone that participated in today's webinar. The team at the SBA and our organization is here to help and support in any way that we can during these times. And I want to share with you something in regards to our next webinar that we're going to be doing here with our partners at Berkeley Law, the New Business Community Law Clinic. We're going to be doing a webinar on how to start a nonprofit business. This is a topic that has been asked by some business owners in the past. So we wanted to wrap the year with this presentation that will be provided this upcoming Friday at 1 p.m. So please visit our website to sign up. That way you can receive the Zoom link and meeting details. And with that, I want to say once again, thank you. Our team, the foundation, we're here to help and support, and also the SBA team at the district. So please reach out to us, connect with us, and also this webinar has been transmitted live through our Facebook account, and also it's being recorded, so you will all receive a recording. So thank you for your time and hope you have a wonderful day.